Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Stern, and in a few weeks, I'm going to be back at home, which always makes me happy to be home with my kids. But it also makes me happy because it means that once again, and for the second time this season, I have the chance to work with my friends at the Stamford Symphony and with them to give these two concerts at the Palace Theatre in Stamford devoted to the music of Ludwig van Beethoven, which makes sense because these are the first orchestral concerts that the Stamford Symphony will give in this 2020 year. And like everyone else in the known musical universe, we are celebrating throughout this year the 250th anniversary of Beethoven's birth. But in the spirit of full disclosure, first of all, it's clear that Beethoven doesn't need to be rescued from obscurity. He doesn't need this concert to keep him top of mind for us. And also, I usually don't favor making programs devoted to the music of only one composer. I like variety. I like putting together music written by different people from different times, from different places, in different styles and different genres. I think the musical and emotional connections that we can find between the pieces, sometimes weirdly and interestingly so, can change completely the way that we listen to all the music on the program. So old music can inform new music. The unfamiliar can make us listen to the familiar in a new way. Music from far away can help us digest music from around the corner, and so forth. And yet, this program, with three great works just by Beethoven, is so full of variety. And I wanted to share that with you because I think that is really unique to him and explains in no small measure not only his genius, but also the reason for the impact and the legacy that he had that dwarfs that of almost every other composer that you can think of. Beethoven's musical output can basically be divided into three categories: early, middle, and late. And these three pieces all come from his middle period, the so-called heroic period, which coincided, more or less, with Beethoven's growing awareness of his impending deafness. And that, of course, was a huge blow to him. And yet, the ignition of creativity and originality and productivity in him, even for him, was something astonishing. And these three works, they all sound like him, but they all sound completely different. And that, in and of itself, for me, is an extraordinary achievement. The Coriolan Overture is full of power and drive, and yet the beseeching tenderness inspired by the story of Coriolan as his mother tries to get him not to attack the city of Rome with the invading army of his previous enemies, and finally his suicide. All of that in the music, and yet you don't have to know the narrative of that to feel the power of this music. The Violin Concerto is arguably the most lyrical piece that he ever wrote and is a towering achievement in the history of the violin and violin repertoire. It stands absolutely at the top of the list for any violinist, and how lucky we are. How lucky we are to have the great Pamela Frank as our soloist. One of my oldest and dearest friends, a consummate musician, a brilliant player, an insightful interpreter of Beethoven. She is perfect for this music. She is a luminous presence on stage. It is just a thrill and a privilege to have her for these concerts playing this repertoire. And then finally, the A Major Symphony, one of the most life-affirming, joyous, rhythmically propulsive explosions of energy that's ever been written. And even Beethoven realized what a crowning achievement it was for him. He recognized that this piece, even for him, was something special. So this program really is not to be missed. I always think that Beethoven didn't consider himself to be a composer. He referred to himself as a tone poet. And that kind of human communication, the empathy and the incredible visceral directness in his music is always something special. At the top of his great Missa Solemnis, he wrote, "This is music from the heart, may it go straight to the heart." And if ever there were a program of his music that made that case, it's this one. The Coriolan Overture, the Beethoven Violin Concerto, and the Seventh Symphony in A major. Join me and the Stamford Symphony at the Palace Theatre in Stamford, Saturday evening, February 22nd at 7:30 p.m., and the next afternoon, Sunday afternoon, February 23rd at 3 p.m. And one more thing, there are great things ahead for the Stamford Symphony, and I can't wait to share that with you as well. So if you will join me 1 hour before the start of either concert, we will give you a little sneak preview of all the great music and the great guests that will come in next season. I can't wait to share all of that with you. I know that you're not going to want to miss that. See you at the concerts, and thank you.